Good afternoon and welcome to episode 15 of Coffee Chatter. We have some TV news to talk about first. A Fox series has lost 3 episodes of their ordered season. New Comedy Dads has had its original reorder of 9 additional episodes downgraded to just 6. The station gave no definite reason for the updated purchase, but ratings for the show have been low. Also for Fox, their new hit Sleepy Hollow will get a 2-hour season finale, a big honor for a new show. ABC also took part in the episode reduction spree, reducing season 3 of Scandal from a normal 22-episode season down to an 18. While ABC also declined to give a reason, die-hard fans are speculating that it involves Kerry Washington's pregnancy, which was announced in mid-October. TV Land has a scuffle of its own. A recent TV interview found Kirstie star Kirstie Alley bashing Leah Remini, even calling her a bigot. The conversation started when Kirstie was asked by Howard Stern how she felt about Leah leaving Scientology. Her reaction was that she had no problem with her leaving Scientology, but did have a problem with Leah then telling the world that she was shunned from her faith and shunned by friends, including Allie. Allie, who is a Scientologist herself, says that no religion forces you to stay, as Leah claims. As for friends looking for Leah to fail, that, Allie says, is their problem, and Leah should start fresh with new friends in her new faith. Sadly, we do have a series finale to talk about. Californication is going to end. The Showtime show Californication will end after its 7th season, which starts in April. No reason was given for the cancellation despite the growing rise of watchers last season. A famed singer announces her diagnosis. Singer Susan Boyle has announced to the media that she has Asperger's, which is an extremely mild form of autism. She found out about the diagnosis last year but wanted to wait to announce it publicly. She also was told she had an above-average IQ, which is common among Asperger's sufferers. When she was a child, Boyle was plainly told her problem was brain damage. She hopes that her announcement helps people understand her better. And lastly, Fab 5 gymnast has a new talent. Those of you that are Bones fans and watched last Friday's episode may have noticed a familiar face. Those that thought back to the summer gymnastics team would recognize gymnast Michaela Maroney, playing a gymnast on the show. Maroney is saying that she would like to get into acting more. Does this mean she is no longer competing? That's not known right now. She has plenty of time to do both before the next Summer Olympics. I watched a new TV show this week, and it was called The Academy. The Academy is a show that is found on the Fox reality station and follows a class of police academy recruits through their 18 weeks of academy training, leading up to, hopefully, their graduation and swearing in. The show started in 2007 and still continues today. Season 1 is available on Hulu. I found this show searching for some new shows to watch on Hulu while waiting for new episodes of my favorite shows to be uploaded. It is interesting to watch how the recruits react and deal with the training, and not everyone makes it through to the end, which is typical in any police academy. This show looks like a good show for anyone interested or considering a career in law enforcement. I may continue watching it, depending on the mood. There's also one out there that's the same idea, only it's firefighters, and that's called Bravest. The Bravest. It's also on Hulu, and I believe it's probably also on Fox Reality. For a book review this week, I finally finished the book Stones and Bones of New England. This book was a very informative book that I enjoyed reading almost as much as I'm enjoying writing my own cemetery book. The author took us through all of the New England states and chose the most interesting and old cemeteries to document and photograph, as well as provided directions and contact information for each cemetery. The book was written in 2004 by Lisa Roick. Some of these cemeteries include famous authors as well as soldiers who served in wars. A few of the cemeteries she mentions are allegedly haunted, but says nothing odd has happened to her while exploring those areas. So they may just be that, legends. We also reviewed, my sister and I also ordered from a new restaurant and reviewed it. It is Skinny's Pizzeria on Amory Street in Manchester. For the first time on this show, this is the first terrible restaurant review I have to deliver. This restaurant is lucky it got the D grade my sister and I gave it, as they were very close to an F. First off, the person who answered the phone doesn't speak English, so he wrote our address wrong. Then another worker called back and said my credit card didn't go through. So she took it down and tried it without me on the phone, something about their system can't have two things going on at the same time, and still did not get the number right. The third time a different worker called, and this time he was able to get it to go through. Then he called back a fourth time because the address wasn't showing up on their GPS, because the dingbat from the beginning didn't write it correctly. By the time our food got here, it was just warm, not hot like it was supposed to be. My sister's wrap was good, but she barely got any French fries, like maybe 8 or 9. We ordered a side order of onion rings, and those were barely warm. My cheeseburger sub was good, but there was no mayo or anything, so it was very dry. We will never be ordering from them again. For your reflection corner, we have the day's reading, Psalm, and Gospel, as usual. The first reading is from Isaiah 40, verses 1 through 11, which is one of my favorite readings. Comfort, comfort my people, says your God. Speak tenderly to Jerusalem, and cry to her that her warfare is ended, that her iniquity is pardoned, that she has received from the Lord's hand double for all her sins. A voice cries, in the wilderness prepare the way of the Lord. Make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be lifted up, and every mountain and hill be made low. The uneven ground shall become level, and the rough places a plain. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together, for the mouth of the Lord has spoken. A voice says, cry, and I said, what shall I cry? All flesh is grass, and all its beauty is like the flower of the field. The grass withers, the flower fades. When the breath of the Lord blows upon it, surely the people is grass. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God will stand forever. Get you up to a high mountain, O Zion, herald of good tidings. Lift up your voice with strength, O Jerusalem, herald of good tidings. Lift it up, fear not, say to the cities of Judah, behold your God. Behold, the Lord God comes with might, and his arm rules for him. Behold, this reward is with him, and his recompense before him. He will feed his flock like a shepherd. He will gather the lambs in his arms. He will carry them in his bosom, and gently lead those that are with young. Your psalm today comes from Psalm 96, verses 1 to 3 and 10 to 13. In your response, the Lord our God comes with power. Oh, sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord all the earth. Sing to the Lord, bless his name. Tell of his salvation from day to day. Declare his glory among the nations, his marvelous works among all the peoples. The Lord our God comes with power. Say among the nations, the Lord reigns. Yes, the world is established. It shall never be moved. He will judge the peoples with equity. Let the heavens be glad, and let the earth rejoice. Let the sea roar, and all that fills it. Let the field exult, and everything in it. Then shall all the trees of the wood sing for joy before the Lord. For he comes to judge the earth. He will judge the world with righteousness, and the peoples with his truth. The Lord our God comes with power. And your gospel reading for today is Matthew 18, verses 12 to 14. What do you think? If a man has 100 sheep, and one of them has gone astray, does he not leave the 99 on the mountains and go in search of the one that went astray? And if he finds it, Truly I say to you, he rejoices over it more than over the 99 that never went astray. So it is not the will of my Father who is in heaven that one of these little ones should perish." We have 5 saints to cover today, and we will start with Gregory III. Saint Gregory III was a pope born in Syria. Learned, humble, and deeply spiritual, Gregory served in Rome as a priest at St. Mark's Basilica. Little is known of his life before 731, when he attended the funeral of Pope Gregory II, at which the people demanded by acclamation that Gregory fill the vacant papal seat. He humbly agreed, and a representative of Byzantine Emperor Leo III confirmed Gregory's election. For most of his reign, though, Gregory clashed with Leo on matters of church doctrine. The emperor supported the iconoclast, who opposed the use of religious images in the church. Under Leo's rule, the iconoclasts turned violent, smashing statues and destroying valuable paintings. The emperor even resorted to closing art schools in Constantinople. Like previous popes, Gregory III believed religious art had an integral role in helping people connect and identify with their faith. He opposed Leo's campaign of destruction and intolerance. The emperor refused to hear Gregory's concerns, so the pope called a meeting in Rome with other church leaders and members of the nobility. Together, they denounced the iconoclasts and called for the excommunication of anyone who destroyed sacred art. Leo responded by sending warships to Rome to capture Gregory and bring him to Constantinople. When a storm destroyed the fleet, Leo seized Italian lands under Gregory's rule and ended the Pope's religious control over other parts of the emperor as well. Despite these aggressive attacks on his power, Gregory stood firm. Meanwhile, Gregory was also devoted to missionary work in Germany. He also founded new monasteries. Called a man of true wisdom, Gregory died in 741. In his footsteps, Gregory knew that art was a powerful inspiration to Christians. Over the centuries, artists have continued to create religious works of art, and architects have designed great cathedrals. One of these awe-inspiring houses devoted to God is still being built in Barcelona, Spain, in an amazing construction project that is more than a century old. In 1882, work began on the Holy Family Cathedral, designed by Catalan architect Antonio Gaudí. The building has the traditional features of a cathedral, but is rendered in a modern, almost hallucinatory style. However, the project has suffered several setbacks, including Gaudí's accidental death in 1926 led to a suspension of work. During the Spanish Revolution in the 1930s, anti-clerical Spaniards destroyed Gaudí's plans and models for the church. Work finally resumed in the 1950s using a reconstruction of Gaudí's model. The cathedral is now funded solely by private donations, and builders hope to complete the church before the year 2050. Next we have St. Swithin Wells. Swithin Wells was one of the 40 martyrs of England and Wales, and was born in the 16th century in the town of Brambridge in Hampshire, England. He worked as a schoolmaster before he retired to London with his wife in 1585. However, Swithin ran into trouble with the authorities, who suspected him of being Catholic, which was punishable by torture and at times death. He was imprisoned at least twice as a Catholic sympathizer and questioned several other times. So he was fully aware of the danger he faced when he helped London Catholics by opening his home to let them hold Mass there. On December 10, 1591, a priest named Edmund Jennings, which we also celebrate today, was celebrating Mass in Swithin's home when the authorities arrived. The men in attendance, though, were able to keep them out until Jennings finished Mass. All the worshippers were arrested. Even though Swithin did not attend the Mass, he was arrested when he returned home. Along with the others, Swithin was later sentenced to death by hanging. His wife was sentenced to hang as well, but was given a reprieve. She died in prison 11 years later. Swithin faced his execution with steely courage. He told the officer who arrested him, "I am happy and thank God to have been allowed to have so many and such saint-like priests under my roof." In 1591, Swithin was hanged in Gray's Inn Fields near his home. All 7 martyrs were beatified on October 25, 1970. Swithin was canonized with 3 of the others, which we celebrate today. He is remembered today as one of the 40 martyrs of England and Wales. In his footsteps, during the reign of Queen Elizabeth, Catholics in England were cruelly persecuted for their political and religious beliefs. Although the British government has not executed anyone for their beliefs since the 17th century, people in many places are still persecuted for political and religious reasons. They continue to suffer imprisonment, torture, and some are executed. Here are ways you can help fight global human rights abuses. Donate money and supplies to relief efforts sponsored by human rights organizations such as Amnesty International or Human Rights Watch. For websites, Amnesty is amnesty.org. Or for the Human Rights Watch, it's hrw.org. Learn more about current human rights issues around the world and alert your church about the issues. Also, you can write letters to political leaders around the world, not just your own country, letting them know your views on political, religious, and social issues. Next, we have Edmund Jennings. Edmund Jennings was one of the 40 martyrs of England and Wales and was born in Lichfield, England. Edmund grew up during the reign of Elizabeth I. It was a time of great hardship for Catholics in England, who, despite stricter laws against their religion, continued to practice their faith. Edmund was a very serious boy with a philosophical nature. Against his family's wishes, he converted to catechism at the age of 16 and went to France to study at the English College at Reims. After his ordination in 1590, Edmund, who was just 23 years old, returned to England. With hopes of reuniting with his family and converting them to his faith, Edmund traveled to his hometown. It was then that he learned that his parents had died, and his younger brother John had moved to London. So Edmund made his way to the city to find his only remaining relative. Worried for his own safety, Edmund's brother wanted nothing to do with him or his religion. Saddened by John's rejection, Edmund sought solitude in the country, but he returned to London a few months later to continue his ministry. In the fall of 1591, Edmund's celebration of Mass was interrupted by the infamous priest-catcher Topcliffe. The congregation was able to hold the officers back until Edmund completed the Mass. But immediately following the service, Edmund and several others were taken into custody. On December 10th, Edmund was hanged, drawn, and quartered. He was canonized on October 25, 1970, as one of the 40 martyrs of England and Wales, who died for their faith during the 16th and 17th centuries. In his footsteps, Edmund Jennings was well aware of the personal risk he faced by returning to England. Still, he went without hesitation because of the importance of his work and of his unfailing faith. Modern male and female clergy often put themselves in harm's way to spread the word. Before I continue, I just wanted to mention the female clergy part. Although these are saints that Catholics honor, we'll use the word honor instead of worship, it counts for Christians as well. And that is why they mention female clergy, because other Christian faiths allow females to be priests. So it's not saying that Catholics have female priests. One such clergyman was Father Joseph T. O'Callaghan. A Navy chaplain, he was aboard the aircraft carrier USS Franklin when, on March 19, 1945, the ship was hit by Japanese bombs that detonated fuel and ammunition. Without being ordered to do so, and with no concern for his personal safety, Father O'Callaghan rushed into the chaos and threw hot ammunition overboard, manned a hose and took charge of the fire details, rescued the wounded, and gave last rites to the dying. Because of his selfless actions, Father O'Callahan became a national hero. He received the Purple Heart for the wounds he suffered and became the first military chaplain to be awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. Next we have John Roberts, who was also one of the 40 martyrs of England and Wales, and was born in Trasimhed, Wales. When he was 19, John Roberts studied at Oxford University. He left school after 2 years and traveled to France, where he converted to catechism. John wanted to become a monk, but under Queen Elizabeth I, English Catholics faced restrictions against practicing their faith. To fulfill his wishes, John went to Spain and joined a Benedictine monastery. In December of 1602, John received permission from Pope Clement VIII to return to England as a missionary. So John and a companion traveled in disguise, but they were identified as monks, arrested, and sent back to Spain. Undeterred, John returned to London a few weeks later, with an epidemic raging through the city. John cared for the sick while he converted many to catechism. 3 years later, Catholic extremists attempted to blow up the King's Palace and Parliament in London. This gunpowder plot deepened suspicion against Catholics, and John was arrested as a possible conspirator. Although he was cleared, he was once again banished. But John refused to stop his work. After several return trips, arrests, and deportations, John went to England for the last time in 1610. Still spreading the word despite the danger, the faithful monk was arrested as he conducted a secret mass. At his trial, John defiantly defended his missionary work and attacked former Catholic priests who had turned their backs on Rome. This time, the monk could not escape execution. He was hanged on December 10, 1610. John was beatified in 1929 and canonized in 1970 as one of the 40 martyrs of England and Wales. In his footsteps, sometimes people's faith dictates that they break a civil law so that they can follow a higher moral law. For example, John knew that saying Mass was illegal during his time, but he had to follow his conscience. Today, acts like John's might be called civil disobedience. During the Vietnam War, protesters often committed civil disobedience to challenge the morality of that war. Two of the better-known protesters were the Bergen brothers, Philip, a Josephite priest, and Daniel, a Jesuit priest, professor of theology, and poet. In the late 1960s, the Bergens led protests at the National Office, which handled the drafting of soldiers. Their arrest drew widespread attention and sympathy from others who opposed the war. Convicted in 1969, the Bergens served time in jail. After their release, they continued to fight for social justice. Through the courage of such people as John and the Bergens, nonviolent civil disobedience has achieved major reforms in modern society. Our last saint of the day is Saint Eulalia. Finishing off today's saints is Saint Eulalia, the patroness of runaways, torture victims, widows, and sailors. One of the youngest saints to be martyred for Christianity was a girl named Eulalia, who was born in Spain late in the 3rd century. According to legend, Eulalia was a modest girl from a noble family who lived in Merida. Educated as a Christian, she rejected the simple pleasures of childhood. Instead, she worshipped God with an austerity and seriousness of an adult. Eulalia was only 12 when Roman Emperor Diocletian issued the cruel edicts ordering every man, woman, and child to offer sacrifice to the pagan gods. The defiant Eulalia was ready to become a martyr for her beliefs. Her distraught mother could see how earnest Eulalia was and quickly took her away to the country. But Eulalia managed to escape and return to Merida. Eulalia went before the local governor and accused him of trying to destroy souls by forcing people to renounce God. At first, the governor cajoled and flattered her, and then he warned her of the anguish she would cause her parents. Then, he tried to frighten her by displaying his instruments of torture. But Eulalia could not be restrained. In her youthful passion, she trampled on the sacrificial offering and spit at the governor. Enraged, the governor ordered her to be tortured and burned. Suffocated by the smoke and flames, Eulalia died praising God. Legend says that snow fell over her body in the courtyard where she lay. Over the centuries, hymns and poems have been written, and monasteries and churches have been dedicated in honor of the young, ever-faithful Eulalia. In her footsteps. Eulalia was a child of 12 when she was cruelly murdered for her beliefs. Unfortunately, violent deaths among the young have become all too common today. In May of 1988, 2 students were killed and 16 injured by a student at Thurston High School in Springfield, Oregon. The town's police chief designated the blue ribbon as a symbol of the tragedy and a sign of hope for the future. From that symbol came the Ribbon of Promise national campaign to end school violence. The Ribbon of Promise has since released its United Action Plan, which is divided into these 3 areas: education and prevention, intervention, and enforcement. A key branch of the program is called By Kids for Kids, a student-run organization founded on the belief that students have the power to end school violence. By Kids for Kids has created a video to educate young people about the effects of school violence. To learn more, call 541-726-0512 or visit their website, ribbonofpromise.org. This couldn't come at a better time with the impending first anniversary of the tragic Newtown, Connecticut shooting. Many people are trying to find something to do in their honor, since relatives have told the media they want everyone to get involved as a way of honoring the students and staff Newton lost. In the spirit of these lost innocent lives and those that have gone before them, please make time to at least call or visit the website for more information or to see if your state has a local chapter to volunteer with. Our closing prayer for the day. Heavenly Father, you created us and most lovingly care for us. We accept all our sufferings most willingly, and as truly obedient children, we resign ourselves to your holy will. Grant us the strength to accept generously your loving visitation, and never let us grieve your faithful heart by giving in to impatience and discouragement. We offer you all our pains, and in order that they may be acceptable to you and fruitful for our salvation, we unite them with the most bitter pains of your beloved Son, Jesus. Amen. Our fan of the week this week is Maurice Isabel. Despite being a brat, he is a very good friend. Morris and I met at St. Marie's, which is my former spiritual home here in Manchester. When I decide to visit, which lately has been regularly because people order fudge, he's always there waiting and ready to pick on me. He's also a fun-loving person, always willing to help you succeed. Whether it's by tasting a new fudge flavor for the first time, or commenting on an encouraging status message that keeps you going. I am hoping that since he's a fan of the week, he'll be a good friend and share this video with his friends, although we share many of the same friends. That's it for this week, and I will see you next week. Have a good week.